So I don't know much about this place, but we're gonna check it out. There's an old house over there. Those look like the gates where the water goes in. Hey there, we're at Thompson Mill near Shed, Oregon. It's an old historic mill on the river here. We're gonna check this out. This should be a good video. In 1858, enterprising settlers in Oregon's Willamette Valley built a grist mill on a patch of ground along the Calipoola River and named it Boston Mills. In 1861, the town of Boston was platted and grew out of activities associated with the mill. By 1869, the small town had 2 general stores, a post office, blacksmith, and the mill. In 1871, the Oregon and California Railroad bypassed Boston 1.5 miles to the west, and a new town named Shed Station, present-day Shed, emerged alongside the rail lines. Boston literally died overnight. Everyone and everything, including the post office, relocated to Shed Station. Only trace left behind, of course, was the mill, which would flourish and operate continuously for nearly 140 years, eventually becoming Thompson Flour Mills. Because of the foresight and continued hard work, visitors can tour the mill today as part of Thompson Mill State Historical Site, owned by the state of Oregon since 2004.
So the story of this mill really starts way back, thousands upon thousands of years ago. This location was used by the Calipoola people, and they used this for summer gathering and hunting. And the river that's just behind us here is named the Calipoola River. And so when the European settlers came over in the 1850s and 60s, they found a landscape that was already perfectly groomed for farming. Calipoola people had been doing field burning and taking care of the land so they could do hunting and gathering down here. And so the farmers realized, oh, this is perfect for growing wheat. So they immediately set to planting wheat. And the first thing you need when you plant your wheat is you need somewhere to mill it. So these first mills that were built in the valley were really, really important for the European settlers. So this mill was originally built in 1858. It did burn down and was rebuilt in 1862. And the 1862 structure is still here. It's just been enveloped by years and years of additions and construction on top of it. So when we get inside, we'll get to see the actual 1862 building, which is pretty neat. So it was a flour mill built by a man named Richard Finley. And it was basically a flour mill all the way until the 1940s. In the 1940s, it started to transition to become an animal feed mill. And then in the 1980s, the animal feed business started to struggle, and they started to transition to become a hydroelectric plant. They put a turbine down below and were actually producing electricity here, and they called it actually Boston Power Company. And so that lasted all the way until about 2004. In 2004, the hydroelectric business started to struggle, and the last owners of the mill were looking for someone to take care of the historic part of it. And so it was sold to the state in 2004 and opened for a park in 2007.
Cool. So the grain goes down here out of the truck, augers over.
So it augers in, up, and then into the silo. So everything goes to the very top first.
Okay, so what's this?
That's the auger out.
Oh, the auger out.
Yeah, that's the auger when you want to take stuff out of it.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then what are these? What would these be used for?
So these were added later in animal feed times, and I believe they were there was a conveyor belt that filled them full of pellets for pelletized feed. And so if you, instead of bagged pellets, you could just buy a whole truckload.
Yeah, like shipped off to the chicken farms. So is the pellet machine still in here?
Yeah, so there's a 1945 California pellet mill in there. It still actually spins. It would take a lot of work to make it actually make something, but it still actually functions. So yeah, for most of the mill's life, it was water powered. The electric grid didn't even come out here to the mill till 1945. Originally, this was the engine of the mill. This is a Lafelle turbine. This one was built in 1913, so it was in the mill all the way until the flood in '96. So it saw quite a bit in action. But basically the way it works is the weight of the water. So the higher water you have, the higher the head, the more pressure you have pushing down on the turbine. And the difference in the pressure on top and the releasing pressure down below creates a pressure differential, kind of like a wing, and it actually makes the runners start to spin. And those runners are attached to a shaft, and that shaft comes up into the mill, and that's how the power is delivered to the mill. This one was damaged. You can still see the piece of wood stuck and what it did to the runners. There's a piece of wood stuck in it right there. I don't know if you noticed that there's a piece of wood right here. This is a bearing. They used ironwood bearings. This is an example of ironwood. You can feel how heavy it is. And if you were to drop that in water, it doesn't float.
It is heavy. It's kind of light.
Yeah.
It is light for me.
It's cooler in here right now than it is out there.
Oh, yeah.
So since you're so strong, come on over here and see if you can move this.
Since you're so strong,
You're not an unsupervised child, are you?
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna push on this, okay?
I can't.
You can do it. There you go. You got it.
Keep going.
Go on, you get it.
Starting to turn stuff.
Push it that way. Or you can pull on it too if you want.
Ready? I'll help you. Push.
oh, look at that.
Oh, that is hard.
Nice job. So even though you're struggling a lot, you're actually moving thousands of pounds of stuff over there.
And once you get it going,
You need 1,000 pounds.
Nice job.
Okay.
So that main shaft comes up into the mill, and it would be attached to something like this crown gear here. And this crown gear is, and actually, if you grab this piece right here, see if you can pull one of those teeth out of that gear.
I just wanna.
Spin it a little more. All right. I got one more thing for you to spin after you're done with that one. Next one. Oh, that one came out too. You are strong. The other one should come out easy. Oh, there you go. So you can see that the teeth are made of wood. And so the main shaft comes up and it spins this gear, which then spins this gear, which is attached to a shaft, which spins the wheels and belts. And that's how the power is delivered throughout the mill. So it comes up from that main shaft and then is spread out horizontally.
Wow.
This is actually hard, but I can do it.
Yeah, you're
It's
doing good.
easy for me now.
So guess what this is for?
I don't know.
These are the brakes.
Oh.
So when when that turbine is spinning, the water is going through it and it just doesn't turn off. You can't just turn it off. It slowly winds down. So if there was an emergency, you would have to use this stick or a broom handle to kick off one of the belts to get it to stop moving. Now that power, if you come over here,
Okay, that's enough.
and you can spin this one. This one's easier to spin. You stand up here. This is how the grain is moved throughout the mill using that power that we just saw. So if you come up here and spin this to the left, you can see that this is an auger that moves things from side to side. And the bucket elevators take them up to the top.
Oh, yeah, look.
said it was noisy in here.
Oh, yeah. That's without a motor.
Yeah, that's good.
So this is also called Archimedean screw, and it was first described by the man Archimedes in Greece, but he didn't invent it. He just described it, so it's even older than that. These are grain cleaners.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big one out front. The mill did have a seed cleaning operation in shed. So you see that flag up there?
Huh?
You notice anything different about it?
Too many stars.
Not as many stars. Yeah.
Not as many stars.
Not as many stars, yeah. So this is an example of what the flag would have looked like when the mill was built in 1858, because Oregon didn't become a state until, do you know?
They told me, but I forgot.
So it's 1859.
Oh.
And so a good way to remember it is then 100 years later in 1959, Hawaii became a state. So what this tells us is that the mill is actually older than 18 of the United States. So it's been around for a long time.
You can actually spin things.
So if you touch in here, you can feel what years and years of the grain going through these chutes does to the wood. It can feel the wood. It smooths it out like sandblasts it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, why can't you spin it?
Yeah, that's the way. So if they were wanting to bag some grain, they'd pull that out and let the grain fall down and then push it back in and they're done.
Oh, millstones.
If you come over here, you can touch this millstone and you can even figure. So this is how they originally made flour. They used these stones, and this stone would sit on top and spin, and this stone would stay in place. And then the grain would follow these lines that they cut in with a tool and be pushed out, and then finally.
And there's still some grain in there.
Yeah.
Look. Look,
There's still
Jillian.
grain in
That
here.
might have been from us, actually. But if you want to feel how heavy that is, come over here. You can. This is what a chunk of it feels like.
Oh my
But it was
God.
originally one piece. This one's broken.
No,
right?
no, they're always, for the most part, were cut pieces.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were cut and then molded back together into a circle.
Okay.
I'm sure they did have single pieces, but yeah, it was just easier to cut them into.
And that's the lid that goes on?
Yep, that would be on top of the runner. Yeah.
And of
And
course,
you can see there would have been a hopper that fed down the middle. The shaft comes up through the middle.
and then somewhere there would be something to catch.
Yep. Yeah.
What else can you spin?
You can spin this if you want. If you come over here, you can either. You all right?
I'm good.
Lost your shoe there.
Yeah, too big.
You might need to. Yeah, you do.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Oh, let me stick my hand in there. So see what you're making flour, you see? So you're doing what that stone did. Here, I'm going to show you real quick. Watch out. See?
Yeah.
So the grain is being pushed out and then it gets collected on the side. So the mill itself in the about 1890, they started to modernize from the millstones, and so these were the more modern roller mills with steel rollers inside of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it grinds it much faster and much
Yeah.
into a much finer powder.
And of course, with all the belting, they had to belt down to get those to spin faster.
Oh yeah. What's funny, we kept thinking that we had something wrong with our system, but what it is that when the mill was in operation, they had inserts for all the belts for summer and winter, because in summertime the belts stretch, so they keep them, but during the wintertime they tighten up, and so you need an insert for the wintertime. This just a little piece, and we never realized that until recently. We're like, oh, that's why. So during the summertime, the fan system won't work because the belt's too loose.
Oh,
So
okay.
it still has its winter insert in it.
Okay.
So these are some examples of flour sacks throughout the years. As you probably have heard, during like wartime or during Depression time, people used the flour sacks to
Yes.
make clothing or tea towels and stuff.
Or
like that.
underwear.
Or for underwear, yeah. And it wasn't always that people were so poor that they couldn't afford it. It was that it just wasn't available. Yeah, the material just wasn't available, or at least at a reasonable.
Plus, some people were frugal, and they would never let anything go to waste.
But we've seen from the mill's records that during the Depression they were selling people the flour sacks for cost, whatever they bought them for.
Oh, wow.
They'd sell them to the people for. Oh, this one's pretty neat if you look at this one. We know this is an older flour sack, not just because of the condition of it, and the town of Shed is still called Sheds. It was originally called Shed Station, and they got shortened to Sheds and then to Shed, as you see over here. But we also know it's old because it was found behind the wallpaper in the house. So they had used the flour sack to smooth out the wall so they could apply wallpaper.
So where's the name Boston come from?
The original owner, Finley, had two partners, and one of them was from Massachusetts. So,
Oh, okay.
they weren't very inventive with names back then. They're like, oh, this is Oak Street. Oh, this is Plainview. Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now, this just gives you kind of an idea of what the head is all about. So we're going to be, when we were running on water power, we're dropping the water from out front all the way down 16 feet down to the Calapooya River below us.
Okay, so the water's coming in upstream a ways?
So I'll show you on this. So here we are, and then this is that way. Going that way is that way. So originally, when the mill was first built, this light blue thing did not exist. The Sodom ditch. It was just the Calapooya River that came down here, just as you see. And what they did is they put one dam right here that pushed water across what we call this the connector ditch, and then into the mill race out front.
Okay.
And then we return it back to the river where we got it from, right down back here.
Okay, so the river's running from south to north here.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay, and then they added this later?
Yeah, this was put in like the 1870s or 80s, and it made them have to put another dam here to push water into this channel. Then they had to push it out of this channel into this channel. And then now these two dams have been removed by the state. Fish passage. And this isn't really a dam, it's just an overflow
Bypass.
yeah. And you can see we do have quite a bit of flooding back here.
Oh yeah. Oh, here's the stamps for the flour bags.
Yeah, these came out of a dumpster in Harrisburg.
What?
Yeah, they had a bag factory that they shut down, and
Are those rubber?
Yep, they just threw them all away.
So they would go into like some kind of press, ink printer,
Yeah.
and they'd roll the bags through.
Yep. Might have been originally just a stamper,
Yeah.
with a hand roller. So most of what we've been walking around was where they stored, we have that set up as kind of a museum, but most of where we've been walking around is where they stored all the sacks of either flour or feed. And now we're coming up on the main production floor, and this production floor sits on top of the flume where the 3 turbines are down below, and so they can receive the power from, and you wouldn't have to move it too far.
So this was the original part of the building right here.
So this is some of the older additions, and when we go around the corner, I'll show you a model. But this is like put in the 1917. This is like 1904. This is like 1902, and then this corner right here is the original 1862 building.
Okay.
We'll see a little more of it as we come around the corner. So originally, this whole part of the building did not exist. This was an exterior wall, and they had a platform that came out, a little doorway, and this was the actual restroom right here. This little hole, and if you look down, it goes right into the river. Yeah, you can go over there and wait yourself if you want.
Do you guys still run the equipment?
So the pellet mill still runs on water power now. Unfortunately today we don't have enough water. We don't have enough head to run it. But yeah, normally we can do a water demonstration where we take you downstairs, we open up the flume, let water into it, and then this pellet mill still actually spins. There was another one set up right on the other side. It was a crumbler, but it was also a California pellet machine. This is also where all the flour was made originally, where the hydroelectric, he had this smaller hydroelectric generator hooked up here. And he has another one downstairs, which I'll show you in a second.
What are all the knives for?
Those are what you use to trim Christmas trees.
Oh, okay.
To make them, have their little triangular niceness. Yeah, so one of the businesses they had at the very end was they had a Christmas tree farm here.
Well, they sure left a lot of artifacts for you guys, which is nice.
Well, apparently they didn't ever go to the dump or do anything over here. It was all just piled up in the barns or in the fields. And it's kind of set up, it basically looks like they just stopped working one day and never came back. All their little notes, their notepads are still in place.
Yeah. There is some modern, stuff like plywood in there.
Oh yeah. It was all in operation until 2004, so. We call this Bud's station, actually. So this is a guy named Bud who worked here. This is when he was pretty young, but he started here in 1954 and worked here until 1986.
Wow.
Yeah, and he suffered from a developmental disability, and he lived with his parents his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So when he retired, his mom had passed away, and he got to go and live on his own for the very first time in an assisted living facility, and he was so happy about it. He loved bicycles. But you can we know he worked here for a long time. If you look on the ground, that piece of plywood, he's worn his footprint
look at that.
right into it.
And look at the old stitching machine
Yeah.
for stitching the bags closed.
These are actually still used, like all the grass seed farmers up and down here, they all use these still. These are about 10 grand a piece.
Yeah.
The old way, before these machines, and probably the way Bud learned was with a sack needle like this, and you do it by hand. Dog ear both sides, and depending on what you're bagging, you'd either put 3 or 6 stitches in it. So this is a model, and I'll show you a couple photos here. So the original 1862 building, this is what it looked like, and it's still here. We've added on and around it, and in front of it, and on the sides.
All timber framed.
So these are what the oldest picture of the mill looks like. You can see there's a single story wooden granary. The mill building's only 2.5 stories tall. But by the time, here's a little bit later, they've already raised up the granary by a story, so they're having to start to move up. And then, as you can see, throughout the years, it just started getting bigger and bigger. When they put the silos in, they had to come up even higher.
1917, they put the silos in.
Mm-hmm. So it's probably, those silos are some of the first slip form concrete in the Willamette Valley, most likely, some of the oldest examples of that. But by the late 30s, the mill pretty much is in the condition that you see it today. So just to give you a reference, so this upright is that corner right here. This one is this one right here. This one is this one right here. So when this was built in 1862, do you know who the president was? It's pretty easy if you look around. Who do you think the president was in 1862?
Who is that?
Abraham Lincoln.
That's right. Yeah, good job. And so, how many?
What's that red dot indicate?
That indicates that beam is this one right here. Oops, I lost it. I just glue that back. Just telling us that this is the red dot, this post. So these were all milled, but these longer pieces were all hand hewn. You can see the hand hewn marks on them as you walk around.
So here's some original belting.
Yep.
Down there.
That's new stuff that we're replacing, but this is some older stuff right
All
here.
right, but I mean, that's new condition belting, and that's a box of the
alligator clips.
clips that.
So this mill, when it was built in 1862, they had the luxury of using old growth lumber. So if you look at this, do you see that? You see the rings? You see how tightly they are together? Now this is like modern lumber that you buy at Jerry's. See the difference? So that's why this building is so strong. You can feel it, hold it if you want. It feels a little heavier than this one, even though they're different sizes.
But still.
Cool.
It's good wood.
The Douglas fir, the lighter one, right?
Yeah,
Well,
they're both
actually
fir. Douglas fir, yeah. One's just really old, lot older. So this building, what if you touch this, you're touching something that's been around since Abraham Lincoln was president. So you're like touching a piece of history. Oh. So not only that, but so this post was put up in 1862, but this is an old growth tree that could have been 200 years old. So that means that this could have been born in the 1600s. Most likely it was.
That's enough.
So if we come in here, we're going to sit on these benches facing that direction. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn on one of the motors. So the mill ran on water power for almost 100 years, but by 1945 the electric grid finally came out here, so they were able to hook up some electric motors. So this is a demonstration to give you an idea of what it sounded like when it was in operation. What's going to run is over in the corner is a corn cracker. That's going to be running. Some of the bucket elevators are going to be running. There's a mixing auger up here that's going to be running. The fan system is going to try and run, but it's not going to run very well. And then over here in the left-hand corner, there's a clipper cleaner, which is a grain cleaner that's going to run. At the very beginning, there's going to be a very loud bell, so you can hold your ears if you want. And here we go. Pretty cool. Now if you come over here and you use this flashlight, I'll hand it to you, here you go.
Okay.
Try and look up here and see if you can see into that storage bin. You see up in there?
Yeah.
That's where they stored some of the grain. So the whole second floor is full of those storage bins. And if you come over here with your flashlight and you look up this shaft right here, you can see all the way to the tippy top of the mill.
Oh, that's the top.
I can hear the birds out there.
So this is an elevator, and it's powered by not electric power, not water power. What kind of power do you think it uses?
Rope.
Yeah, rope, but what kind of power? What powers the rope?
I don't know.
You use it all the time.
Oh, with your
Muscle power. Muscle
Oh,
power,
yeah,
yeah. So this is the way it works. So first thing you have to do is you get on, and you have to see these weights. So if you don't weigh enough, you have to add some weight so you don't go too fast, right? But I weigh almost too much for this thing. And so if you need to get up to the tippy top of the mill in a hurry, come over to this device, step on that, and then you pull yourself all the way up.
Bye.
It's counterweighted somewhere.
Yep, so inside of this box and attached to this cable, the steel cable, is a 200-pound counterweight. So a lot of people ask, like, do you know why you wouldn't be able to use it?
No.
Can you guess?
Too light.
Yep, that's right. You're too light. You would
Yeah,
just
about
shoot. You just shoot up
50
without stopping.
50 pounds.
Yeah, you'd
Or
go.
51.
You'd go way too fast. All right, we're gonna go down to the basement next.
Yeah.
So what else can I touch?
We're pretty much done with the touching sections.
So is there anything else here that was from the original flour production?
No, that
Was that all that was pulled out to put in the feed?
A lot of this kind of, as you walk around, you'll see some broken pieces of equipment and stuff. That's most of what's left of the flour operation. But it was all ripped out in the 40s and 50s. And most specifically in the 1950s, they did a huge overhaul. And that's when they put in all this venting to try and get back up to fire code. So that's when a lot of that's why it looks so chaotic, is because they did this, huge renovation.
What are these things nailed up here?
Chew cans, chewing tobacco
Oh.
cans. Yeah.
Just somebody want to keep their souvenirs, huh?
That's like some kind of thing. Like I see it sometimes on telephone posts in parks, like
Yeah.
in our rural parks or whatever it is very often. I don't know what it's about. So we're gonna have you step to the side here, and I'm gonna go down the steps first.
What's this?
Oh, here's different screens.
Yeah, those are different screens. Depending on what kind of grain you're using, you need the different size screens. And then those would go into the clipper cleaner here. So we're going to go down some steps, so be cautious. Also, I don't know how if you're tall enough, but some of the beams down there, I can hit my head on all the beams. You'd probably be
Yeah,
close.
we never have that problem.
Yeah, I'm too short. Right?
Yeah, you'll be safe. Yeah.
I'd be safe.
So this machine right here is a hammer mill. So it chops things, and hammer mills are used for here. They mostly made oats and stuff like that, and they would also chop up stuff to prepare it to turn it into pelletized food. But hammer mills are also used for like plywood production, gold mining. They're pretty, and a lot of farmers have their own hammer mill in their barn, so they can make their own feed.
Hey, what's under here?
Looks like
We're
rock.
in the basement, but it's actually not a real basement. There's just the ground is right underneath us, and during the wintertime, there's water underneath us. And sometimes, if you come over here, I'll show you. Sometimes there's not just water underneath us, but this is 2012 level of the water. This is the 1996 level of the water. In the last couple years, we've gone up to about here. So the whole basement floods. This whole area will be underwater. If you peek out this window, now don't jump out and be cautious, but you can see the 4 gates that hold back the mill race in the front. And if you look down in the water there, you're going to see a bunch of fish. See those fish?
Mm-hmm.
Some pretty big ones. Those are pike minnow.
And there's some restoration work.
Yeah, we just had that done. That was very expensive.
Were the steel cross beams up here original?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I believe they got those from some kind of railroad company or something.
So the concrete had just deteriorated and.
Actually, it was actually mostly the beams. The concrete was in okay shape, but the beams were severely rotted, so they replaced them all instead of just the ones that were rotten. And then they just added some extra support. The wall was going underwater quite a bit, so now I think it'll stay. The water won't lap over as much.
Oh, so they raised everything up
Yeah.
so the wood doesn't sit in the water.
It still probably will, but not as much.
Hey, there's a dog up there playing in the river.
That's one of our volunteers' dogs, Zeke. So this is this concrete that we see here. This is that flume that holds the 3 turbines at the bottom of it, and this gray box that you see is the hydroelectric generator that the last owner put on. It was producing electricity and selling it back to the grid.
This entire place was underwater during the flood.
Yeah, this area was, yeah. So you see these big tanks here? These held molasses about there's a 4,000 and a 1,000 gallon tank here. So they could take a whole tanker full of molasses. And that was used to add to the animal feed.
Oh yeah, I remember when I was a kid, we would get feed like that for the horses. I think it was oats that they would coat with molasses.
Wet. They call it wet. When it says molasses, it's called wet. So you can get, if you go and you say, it needs oats, you want wet or dry? Wet means molasses, dry means no molasses. So if you come over here, and so you remember that turbine we saw up front? These are the ones that are still in the mill, and these are the tops of them. You can see the top of them and the shafts that come up into the mill.
I see.
What's that? What's beneath the turbines? There's an empty space where the water goes out and then it joins back in with the water where we saw the fish over there. So if you want, you're more than welcome to step out there. You just can't go past that rope.
Why?
Too dangerous.
Why is it too dangerous to go past that road?
Because if you were to fall off either side, it's a 16-foot drop.
And so originally these were hand opened, and then later when electricity came, they electrified them.
So these two gates are what keep water out or in the flume itself, and then these four are what hold back the mill race. So this is what we use to control the level of the mill race. This is what we use to feed the turbines. So
Feed and flood control.
Yep. And normally when the mill was in operation, this flume was always full of water. They just left it open, and they were able to open the gates on the actual turbines to let water pass through if they wanted to. But for us, well, right now we don't have any water, but the turbines are frozen open, so if we left water in there, they would just always run. So we have to close the gates to get them to stop. So normally if we did have water, I could open up one of these gates, and actually you'll watch the water come rushing down in there, and then actually that first turbine still spins, and it's connected to the pellet mill upstairs.
I want to see how it works.
Well, there's not.
Show you, but there's not enough water.
We'd have to come back in fall after the rains come, or in the spring.
Or if you really want to see some water, come in the winter.
If you want a basement tour, you gotta bring your hip waders.
So speaking of flooding, so do you see these marks here? What do you think did that?
Flood?
Well, it was caused by a flood, but there was an animal that did that. What animal do you think?
I don't know.
What animal likes to eat wood?
Fox?
Beaver.
Beaver, yeah. So a beaver got trapped in here and he had to eat his way out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's funny.
The first time I thought the spear was frozen, and then I thought so accidentally took it to it.
You know, it's really interesting because the age of the mill and how many years they ran without electricity. And then you look at the electrical equipment, and the electrical equipment is ancient.
Oh yeah, it's as old as electricity.
So what does this guy do here?
So these are called turn heads. There's there's one here, and there's three more right here. And I have a picture to show you. So everything that comes into the mill goes through the dump pit. It drops down in the basement, and it gets picked up and taken all the way to the very tippy top where we were looking at. At the very top of the mill is what's called the main turn head, and it basically is a tube that everything goes through that's movable from different chute to different chute, and that's controllable with this device right here. So basically, if I look out here and this guy says, "Hey, I'm dropping off feed oats today," it's like, okay, I need to turn the main turn head to this sub turn head, and then I need to turn this turn head to the number 4, and that will make it go into the appropriate bin. Yeah, and it's all controllable from down here, which is pretty neat.
Cool.
This is a mixing trough, and so basically up above are all different bins. You can see these different chutes and different bins. So this would be basically it's an auger that's pushing everything into this dump bin right here. And what the person who worked here was doing was making a recipe, and so he was using the scale kind of like he would do in baking. So he would say, okay, for this type of feed, it needs to be 10% barley. So we'd open that up until 100 pounds. If he's going to make 1,000 pounds, he'd make 100. So that's at 100 pounds. And then if you knew, okay, I need 20% wheat, then he would let it out till he hit to 300 pounds.
So what's this building or cubicle thing here?
The one with the screen on it?
Yeah.
That was actually called the drug room, and that's where they stored all the antibiotics and stuff that goes into animal feed, the controlled substances that goes into animal feed. Well, I forgot to ask you a question. Here, let's go in the office real quick. I want to know if you know how to operate this.
Come on.
So, I want to know if you know how to use this telephone. Using the telephone like that? So how do you use it? So go ahead and make a call for me.
Can you call me on the cell phone?
How would you make a call?
You just turn it.
Yeah, but you have to do something else first.
Okay, pick up the receiver.
Yeah, you have to pick it up first, and then you have to listen for a dial tone.
You hear a dial tone?
Which there isn't a dial tone.
My phone number's 859.
So here's another phone. This is an even older phone.
Oh yeah, well you said that.
This didn't even have any dials or anything. You had to talk to someone and ask for, I need a house 47, the Smiths.
But when did the bell ring?
Oh,
What's
yeah,
up?
I know, go right here.
When somebody called you.
Somebody called you.
When somebody calls you, there's an operator that sends the phone call to your house.
So this is some household stuff, but I always like to point this out to young people. See where it says 19th century bathroom? So what do you think that pot over there is for?
I don't know.
That's the bathroom. In the olden days, they used to use, it's called a chamber pot or a thunder mug. So that's the way you use the bathroom, and then that's the way you took a bath. You just had a bowl and a pitcher.
And sometimes they would describe people so poor that you didn't have a pot to piss in.
Yeah, that means you didn't even have one of those. All right, well that's the end of the tour, guys. But if you want, these are all little souvenirs that you can take. These are some stickers. This is the first ever Oregon State Park Sarah Helmick. These are actually real feed labels that they would put on the buckets of molasses that they sold. So this isn't actually a sticker, which is pretty cool. And these are the different feed labels that they had throughout the years. More than
That they would sew on. These would get sewn
Yep,
onto
they'd
the
get sewn
top.
onto the top of the bag.
So they would hang right at the top.
Yep. And they sold. We had hundreds.
We don't need to
We have hundreds of them. And then yeah, and then if you want, you can put your pin in your location, whichever. Or if it's too crowded where you're from, you can choose a place that you like to go.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah. That's someplace you
My
want to
dad
go.
was from Salem.
Oh really?
Town of Salem.
Oh cool. That's nearby.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great day.